Welcome back. It's Artie Decker, PSN. We're back for week 2 of the playoffs. We'll just kind of give you an idea of what went on last week, what's going to go on this week, and as far as just looking on down the road, who we feel like is the favorites at this very point in time to be in Auburn. But let's look back at last week. Not a whole lot of surprises, really. We had Colbert knocking off Tarrant. Maybe not quite that badly, but they must have really played well. Um, Hoover just maybe a little closer than you think with Bob Jones there. Um, in this game, James Clemens give Hewitt all they wanted, but just couldn't quite pull it off. But I mean, just a great effort there. A lot of people did not see that game being that close. Theodore's had a great season all year, and they actually get knocked off. Lee Montgomery takes them out. We had the Mountain Brook knocking off Austin. No big shock there. Fun fact about that Abbottville game: they had 3 first downs for the entire game. Pennsylvania is playing some lights out ball right now, at the absolute best time to be doing so. Um, Homewood just taking care of business. We actually kind of felt like Athens might have a shot to knock them off, but Homewood does hold serve and gets the win. McAdoo just playing some still lights out defense, just like they have all season, and they continue to roll. That's a pretty impressive win for Wetumpka. Daphne have been playing pretty well, so that lets you know maybe Wetumpka has figured out some of their struggles through the mid part of the year. This was kind of a shocker. I expected a good game, but I thought Jackson Nolan would get out of there. But they actually get knocked off. Decatur takes them out. Decatur, of course, being from that just very difficult, like Murderers Row region, and it definitely, I'm sure, helped him to get that upset. Hueytown just take care of business. You know, Unfortunately for my Fort Payne fans, I told you this. I was afraid of this. Gardendale is a really good 4 seed compared to other regions. Chalkville just smashing May Jemison. This was a little bit of a shocker. Miner kept it close for Muscle Shoals. I kind of felt like Muscle Shoals go in there and kind of impose their will and take care of business on that one. Oxford just smashing Hazel Green. Hartsville continues to roll. You know, as I talked about, welcome to 6A football, St. Paul's. You're defending 5A champ, but you had to move up, and now you're out of it in one round as Opelika takes care of business. San Hope Elmore been playing some pretty good ball too, but Saraland just not having it. Madison Academy struggles with a scrappy little Alexandria team. A little bit of a surprise there. The magical season for the Pirates finally runs out. Brewer led this game really late, but Southside managed to sneak out of there with a win. Not a lot of shock on this Center Point game. They definitely, uh, they're just a scrappy group, and Russellville had played sort of a soft schedule, and they get knocked off. Chilton County been playing some really good ball. They give Jackson a good game, but just fall a little short. Mortimer Jordan, I kind of felt like they would beat Dora a little worse than that, but they do get the win, and I guess that's really all that matters. Um, Etowah just continues to shut people out. No big shock there. Um, Once again, I know I've said it all season, but can that offense continue to progress enough to get them to Auburn? We shall see. Pleasant Grove just taking care of business on Beauregard, just smashing them. I guess this is a semi upset, but we actually picked this. I told you that Pleasant Grove bunch, they coming out of that just tough region. and they are a really good 3 seed. Um, Maybe a little closer than you thought on Jasper and Silicaga. Maybe that kind of a telltale about how good Jasper is. We'll see going forward. Um, you know, Briarwood maybe a little bit of a surprise, giving up 28 to Valley. Valley's not a slouch of a team, but still, kind of worries you a little bit for Briarwood's run to the finals. Alabama Christian knocking off Lincoln. Uh, that's interesting because this is one of those weird 3-7 teams. They actually get to win and pull the upset. We actually picked this one. We had Andalusia knocking off Montevallo. Nothing against Montevallo, just felt like Andalusia was battle tested. They got to the finals of the South last year and got knocked off by UMS Wright. So they know what they're doing, and I'm sure they're going to try to make another run at it. We kind of felt like Deshler might be on upset alert, and this game was really close, but they do score late and pull away. Hopes Bluff just taking care of business. North Jackson, same way. No big shocks there. I told you, DAR, that offense, Will Bailey. I mean, look them up. Dangerous little team. And they knock off sort of a soft Northside team as far as their schedule went. And DAR moves on to the second round for the first time ever in their history, to my knowledge. Good Hope, not really a big shock here. They're just smashing St. John Paul. Great run for St. John Paul. Don't get me wrong, probably the best year in school history. They get the 2 seed, but they take a thumping from a solid little Good Hope team. Aniana knocking off Brooks, not a big shock there. Aniana come out of a tough region. Brooks, not so much. So Brooks, kind of a paper number 1, and Aniana was a battle tested number 4. So it just happens that way sometimes. Fayette County just taking care of business. Maybe a little closer than I thought. I kind of felt like they would take care of business a little more, bigger margin on that, but didn't. Jacksonville taking out Rogers. Maybe a little more points than I figured they could give up. Because Rogers had kind of struggled offensively, and for them to get 21 on Jacksonville, that kind of worries me a little bit for the Golden Eagles. Um, not really surprised. Headland had kind of cooled off there towards the last part of the year, and it just continues to carry over into the playoffs. Unfortunately for them, as they just sneak by Talladega. We talked about this one. Trinity had a really good shot of knocking off Hanley, and they pull it off. But I guess it's maybe a blessing in disguise because Hanley would have had to play UMS Wright in the next round, and probably would have took a thumping. So you can look at that however you want to look at it. Alabama Christian, or excuse me, American Christian, dangerous team. Great record. Williamson was just a scrappy little group, and they give them all they wanted, but they managed to get out of there. Piedmont just taking care of business. Not a big shock there. We told you this Geraldine game would not be as like a blowout, being a 4 versus 1, and it wasn't. They do get the win though. Winfield, a really dangerous team coming out of that South. Just keep a close eye on them. Pennington gets some revenge. Susan Moore won the game in regular season, I believe, week 2, and they avenged that loss with another close win. Kind of if so, fat so. Randolph County just take your business. Not a big shock there. Mobile Christian takes out the Cinderella Pack Road. Great year for Pack Road, but it had to come to the end of the road at some point, and Mobile Christian takes care of them. Great year for Coach Pruitt and his Eagles, but it runs out of, the pumpkin, or excuse me, the chariot turns into a pumpkin at midnight as they take the loss to a talented midfield team. Coach Ledbetter, it's been a struggle, and it kind of come to fruition for them in that first round. Won't be able to smoke them. in that one. Sacks looking really good. T.R. Miller felt like they would put up a little bit more of a fight to St. James, but it just doesn't happen. Beulah's a scrappy little team, and Thomasville is kind of a roller coaster. You don't know who's going to show up. This might be the team that shows up, wins 41-3, or it could be the group that shows up and takes that 41-3 beat. It's just, I don't know how to even tell you now. Westminster struggles a little bit with Weaver, which we kind of expected. Weaver is a dangerous, dangerous number 4, and we felt like they would sneak out of there, and that's exactly what they did. Gordo, nice, impressive win over a good little Wicksburg team. Um, Maybe a little bit of a shocker here. Ayrton just kind of out of nowhere. But you know what? I got to doing some digging in that region, and they come out of a really tough region. And Thorvey, not so much. So, maybe not a shock that they beat them, but to the margin of victory. Maybe keep an eye on Ayrton coming out of that 2A South. Hoax Bluffs, or excuse me, Cedar Bluffs, 16-game losing or winning streak in the first round ends with a loss. I'll get it right in a minute. Ohatchee just takes care of business on them. I don't think it would have made any difference if they'd have had Ivory Star or not healthy. They would still probably took a beat in this one. That's a young team. McWhorter talked about. He started a lot of sophomores, freshmen, and what have you. So they'll get better going forward, but not this year. The Flying Squadron just smoking Chickasaw. 5 just taking care of business against a mediocre Cleveland team. This is kind of an interesting thought here because Reeltown had talked so much about, oh, we're going to make it to the finals. We can't wait for the playoffs. And da 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 da. And this is back in the summertime. But yeah, they're out in round 1, so I'm sure that does not go over well with the faithful of the Rebels. Delville takes them out. Delville is also from the Arrington region. Just keep eye on them; they're dangerous. Um, Cottage Hill didn't know how they would respond. I knew Goshen was good enough to beat them if they kind of lollygagged, but Cottage Hill, man, they took a thumping in that last week, but they do respond well. They come back out with a 26-0 shutout. So we'll see how they progress going forward um, as they try to make that run to Auburn. Lafayette, not a big shot. They just take care of business on Geneva County. They smoked Geneva County. I'm gonna rephrase that. We had them winning, maybe not quite that bad though. That's an impressive win for the Bulldogs. Leroy just um, winning basically. I don't know really what to tell you in that one. We kind of leaned toward North Sand, and North Sand had an opportunity. They jumped on them. This game, I believe, was 13-12 at halftime, and then it stretched out to a 32-12, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, the Bison come charging back, but they run out of time, and Rambrin gets the win. Um, Aliceville just doing what they do, playing lights out defense and beating Sheffield. No big shock there. Luverne struggles with kind of one of those little mediocre teams in Southern Choctaw. So we'll see how they go on. I'm not really big on Luverne. I know a lot of people are, but I'm just not. Addison just smoking Silligent. Abbeville. I told you, keep an eye on them. The, those Kinsey kids, they're dangerous, and they take out kind of a mediocre Vincent team. Collinsville, talked about it, going in the playoffs. Can they respond? Can they keep it up? Being under pressure, and they jump all over Westbrook, but they kind of let Westbrook back into it. It was 28-7. Westbrook scored twice, and all of a sudden it was 28-21 in the fourth quarter, and the ball game was in doubt, if you will. But Collinsville does manage to get it together and score late and pull away. Red Bay, this is kind of the story of their season. They play ball control, they struggle to score at times, but to play good defense, and they sneak by a mediocre Winston County team. I mean, in reality, Red Bay's a lot better team than Winston County, but they just didn't show it on the scoreboard evidently. But they do get the win, and like I say, at this time of year, that's really all that matters. Um, Elba, impressive win over Billingsley. Wadley taking out Brantley. It's kind of weird to see Brantley go out in the first round. We come from the generation of about a decade ago when Brantley was just a powerhouse, and it's weird seeing them go out in the first round. Pickens County just smoking Cherokee. Um, but not a big Pickens County once again, kind of one of those teams like Etowah. They play lights out defense, but you worry about them offensively. And you might say, well, they scored 57, but that's against a very mediocre Cherokee defense. So I don't know. I don't know what you take out of that, but they get the win nevertheless. And Donahoe just smoking Coosa. Maybe the moment just a little too big for Coosa. Coosa's never won a playoff game. It was very cold. Uh, you throw in the cold, the inexperience. Donahoe, they've, you know, it's been a while for them, but they're back. This was the first time since 2014 that they've been in the playoffs, and they've really, it's they've made improvements basically. Uh, when they played Spring Garden first time around, I believe week 3, week 4, and they lost. I think right now if they played again, that game would be a lot closer, and Donahoe might even have an opportunity to win that game. So they have just progressed as the season has gone on. But still a great season for Coosa. You go from 4-7 to 7-4. You can't be unhappy with that. So congrats to them. Spring Garden just taking care of business on Decatur team. I felt like this game could be closer, but Spring Garden just wasn't having it. Lynette, Lynette. They're just Lynette. They just blow people out. This is their time of year. They're looking for back-to-back state championships in different classifications. I'm not positive anybody's ever done that. I'm going to look that up. We're going to let you know going forward. St. Luke's just smoking Francis Marion. I knew this game would be tight. Waterloo, I knew it'd be a battle for Hubbard. Well, Waterloo's kind of in that inexperienced boat, and Hubbardville's like been there, done that. And also coming out of a tough region is a really good 3 seed. But Waterloo does manage to get the win. Marengo taking care of business on Isabella. Isabella, not a bad team. That's an impressive win. Marion County just taking a thumping. Kind of absolutely seen that coming. Linden just whooping up on Mulry. Georgiana and Notasulga, maybe a little tighter than what you would think. South Lamar, very impressive win over Phillips. Maplesville, they get the revenge. Sweetwater knocked them out in the 3rd round, went on to win the state championship. So Maplesville saying, "No, we ain't having it this year," and they just blow out the defending state champs. Faultville, they didn't score 70. Maybe that is that signs of a struggle. I don't know. We'll see. And Talladega County, not a great defensive team. I don't really know what to take out of that game. But like I say, it's a win, and that's all that matters. Winterboro, I not surprised. I told you to be on upset alert on this one. Hubbard had kind of, I don't know, lost a little bit of their stinger as the season had gone on, and Winterboro had found something about midway of the season, playing probably the best they played all year as they knock them off in this upset. So now let's just get to the meat and taters that are on the table. This week's games, round 2. Leah Montgomery closer than you think, but Auburn does get the win. McGill, I think they'll give Central all they want, but I just too much talent. Parrish and those guys just so good on offense, just probably gonna be a little too much for McGill. Even though McGill's trying to win the South once again, but I don't see it happening. Mountain Brook, they're just not athletically talented enough to hang with Hoover. Hoover's going to win that one. And also, I think they just played 3 weeks ago, so very familiar situation there. But normally, I would say, when you have to play somebody twice, you struggle to beat them twice, but not with Hoover. Hewitt going into Thompson. I felt like Hewitt jumped on him, but the overall, I guess, cream rose to the top as Thompson, charged back, won the game. So this time around, I think Thompson's going to be a little bit more ready for him, and I think they'll take care of business, and it'll set up that Hoover Thompson final. Looking into 6A, Hueytown's good. Roydell Jones, look him up. He is a beast. But I don't know. Sarah Lynn is um, just a different cut. I would probably go with Spartans on that one. And then you got Opelika going to Bessemer City. I like the battle-tested Opelika in that one. Wetumpka going into Hillcrest. Wetumpka trying to get back to the championship game, and I think they're going to take another step in doing so, as they're going to take care of Hillcrest. McAdory been on a tear. I've loved him all season, but I'm just a little bit afraid on this one. You're going into Spanish Fort. Spanish Fort plays well at home. They've played well all season, especially on defense, and McAdory really struggles to move the football. This is going to be a really low-scoring game, but I like the Toros to knock out a really good McAdory team. Homewood going into Gardendale. I would lean just a little bit with the Patriots. I think they might just sneak out of there. Muscle Shoals going into Pinson. Muscle Shoals is really good. I've said that all season, but it's Pinson, and it's at home, and I can't pick against Bo Nix and company. Play Chalkville, Hartsville, another great matchup. I mean, just phenomenal. Hartsville, really good team. They've had a great year, but Willie Miller and company are just red hot, and they're on a mission, and I just can't pick against them. I'm going to go Clay on that one. Decatur going into Oxford. Decatur, like I say, they're scrappy. It would not surprise me at all if they didn't find a way to knock off Oxford. But Oxford's really good at home, and I like the Yellow Jackets. Looking into 5A, Ramsey should take care of Jackson. I would probably lean just a little bit with Greenville on that one. Pleasant Grove should sneak by Demopolis. Ooh, great battle here. Vigors had a great season, but Briarwood, they've tasted the bitter pill of runner-up last year to St. Paul, so they're looking to get back there. Trent Reno, man, he is a flat-out leader, and they're going to need a leader in this game, and I'm going to go with the Lions. I think Briarwood's going to sneak out of there and take out the Wolves. I guess upset, if you want to call it that. You got the Vols going into the Mustangs. I know everybody's got the Mustangs already penciled in, or some people do, to Auburn. I'm not on that train. I like the Vols in this one to knock them off. Etowah going to Center Point. This is going to be a tough game for Etowah. This is going to say a lot about who Etowah is. If they can get by them, they're definitely a contender. But obviously, if they lose, they're out. But I think this is gonna be a really close game. But I like Etowah to get out of there in a low scoring battle. Southside going into Jasper. Jasper is a little iffy, and Southside's pretty scrappy. So it would not surprise me at all if Southside didn't find some way to get the win. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick Jasper just because they got it at home. East Limestone, great team. CJ Yarborough, one of the best athletes you're ever going to find in the state of Alabama. But they're going into Mortimer Jordan, and actually this game has been moved to Clay Chalkville, which should be interesting because both these teams are used to playing on grass. Obviously, Clay Chalkville is turf. But I like Mortimer Jordan. I don't know what it is that I think they'll find a way. Hillcrest Evergreen going into Alabama Christian. This should definitely be a battle, but I would probably lean just a little bit towards Hillcrest on this one to finally put out the, I guess, miracle Alabama Christian team. Headland going into Andalusia. Headland is going to run out of time as it will strike midnight and Andalusia will take them out as they've had a great year. Catholic Montgomery, good team, taking on American Christian. Would not surprise me at all if Catholic found some way to beat them, but I'm going to give American just a little bit of the edge on that one. UMS Wright going into Trinity. Trinity's scrappy, but UMS Wright is just UMS Wright. I don't know really what to tell you. You know how we feel about them, so I like them to win. Aniana going into DAR. This is a great, great matchup. Either one of these teams will be a great story to be in the third round, and one of them will obviously be there. Um, I don't know that Will Bailey crew. If they continue to play like they have all season on offense, I like them. I think they will sneak out of there and they will get to round 3. Jacksonville going into Good Hope. This is a definite be careful kind of game for Jacksonville. I mean, they've had a great season. You know, we have high aspirations for them, but Good Hope is a dangerous, dangerous team. But I think this is going to be close. But I like the Golden Eagles to find a way to get the win. And then we got Hope's Bluff rolling into North Jackson. By far will be the toughest test that Mr. Witherspoon and the Chiefs have seen all season. Coach Robertson's defense is perennially really good. So he will definitely find a challenge as they take on Hope's Bluff. I'm going to lean just a little bit toward Hope's Bluff, though. I kind of feel the same way I do about Jacksonville. They find ways to win, and I think they'll do it again in Stevenson. But Witherspoon will probably, I, I, I don't know. He might get 200. I don't see him getting 3, though. Deshler, Fayette County is going to be a battle, but I don't know. I want to lean just a little bit toward Fayette County. They played several times in the last 2-3 years, and Fayette seems to have just a little bit edge on them, and I'm going to go with that. Flomaton, Winfield, this could be a blowout. Winfield should win big. Pike County going to Thomasville. Thomasville, I'm going to edge just a little bit with them, even though they're struggling a little bit. Providence Christian playing some really good ball. And St. James also. But I would lean just a little bit with St. James on that one. Gordo going into Mobile Christian. This is a great second round matchup because Gordo is capable of running the table, and obviously a lot of people already penciled in Mobile Christian. But I'm going to go with Mobile Christian in a tight, low scoring game. Midfield going into Westminster. Cinderella, I'm gonna extend you stay just a little bit. And I'm gonna go with Westminster. I think this will be tight, but they'll pull away late and move on to round 3. Piedmont going into Pennington. This is Piedmont's time of year. Sorry, Pennington, you're gonna take a beating, I'm afraid. Randolph Randolph County going into Geraldine. Geraldine trying to find a way to get to the third round for the second time in school history. But, yeah, it ain't going to be 2018. I like Randolph County to take care of business in that one. In probably blowout fashion. I mean, you just ask Sylvania what it's like to play Randolph County in the playoffs, and they'll tell you after taking that thumping in the Wadowee last year. Fultondale going into Sachs. Great matchup. A lot of athletes. Jason Jones and company, they're going to have to play the lights out. Jalen Simmons, he's going to have to really play big. But it ain't going to happen. I like Sachs. They're at home, and they've got something to prove. Leroy going into Delville. We talked about them. They're a scrappy little group, and I think they'll pull the upset, and they'll knock off the defending South champs, Leroy Bears. Luverne going into Abbeville. Yeah, this is kind of a segue to the thoughts we had earlier. Luverne, we're not on the train. Abbeville, we are on the train. So the Kinsey twins get the upset and move on to round 3. Flying Squadron going into Lafayette. Lafayette is a good home team. But I don't know. That's Flying Squadron group. They score a lot of points. I think they're going to find a way to get the win. It's probably going to be high scoring, but I think they'll sneak out of there. Ayrton is a dangerous, dangerous team, and especially having a home field advantage. Cottage Hill has definitely got to be on upset alert on this one. But I'm going to lean just a little bit with Cottage Hill. I think they'll find a way to keep. It'll be close, but they'll sneak out of there. Fife going into Colbert. This is by far the most athletic team Fife has seen all season long. Um, they have a big defensive line. They have a lot of speed to the edges, and Fife has really struggled to run to the edges, so they definitely ain't going to be doing that. Or excuse me, run between the tackles, and have had to get to the edges. Well, if Colbert can cut that off, this is going to be a battle. I know a lot of Fife fans. You've already got your hotel booked for Auburn, and I understand that. And I know a lot of people have already penciled them in, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Colbert won this football game. And plus, being at home in the playoffs, Colbert County is really good at home. Just ask Dale Pruitt and the Bears, and they'll be glad to tell you that over the years. But as far as a pick goes, this thing could go either way. But I'm gonna lean just a little bit with Fife. Fife's gonna find a way to sneak out of there with the win. Red Bay going into Ohatchee. This is definitely one of those upset alert games. Ohatchee has big, big plans going forward, but Red Bay is one of those teams they can play keep away from you, run the ball, and keep your offense off the field. Next thing you know, you're in the fourth quarter, and it's 10-7. You're behind. Just ask Colbert County. They done it to them, and they very well could do it to Ohatchee. But I don't know. I think this will be closer than you think, but I like Ohatchee to sneak out of there with a win. Ramburn going into Addison. Ramburn is a good little team, but Addison is really good at home. They hadn't lost in 3 years at home, and that's going to be a big telltale factor. I think. I like Addison to get the win. You got Collinsville going to Aliceville. Uh, if this game were played at Collinsville all day long, I think I would take Collinsville. But this is on the road. This is a young team who hadn't been to playoffs, any of them. No playoff experience on the whole squad. And making that long, long trip to the other side of Tuscaloosa, that is a very long trip for a very young team. This is going to be a flat out battle. You got a high powered offense. We're looking at, like, I don't know, 45 points a game offense, taking on a defense that's really only give up uh, a lot of points in one game to a bigger classification, being Selma. They give up 60. But in their own classification, I believe they've only give up around 20 is the highest they have given up. So something's got to give. Either the offense is going to drop some points, or the defense is going to bog them down. Something's going to have to give. But Aliceville, this has kind of been there, done that. 2 years ago, uh, made it to Auburn. So I mean, they understand how to get there. Um, but I don't know. I'm gonna lean just a little bit with the fact that they're gonna have to go way on over there, and I'm gonna go with Aliceville in a really tight one. We got Marengo going to Lynette. It's gonna be a tough test for Lynette, but I think they'll get the win being at home. Maples are going to Georgiana. Georgiana is a good little team, but Maplesville is a little bit better, and I like the Red Devils in that one. Elba going to Linden. The Pats, they got some high expectations. Elba is a sneaky, sneaky team to be playing in the second round, but I like Linden to get out of there and closer than you think. Wadley going to St. Luke. St. Luke's is red hot right now. and I think that will be a huge, huge factor. Jermaine Brown and company will find a way to sneak by Water. Donahoe going into Mars Hill. Mars Hill just been buzzsawing people. And Donahoe playing probably the best they played all season. It's going to be closer than you think, but I like Mars Hill. South Lamar going into Winterboro. We talked about this. Winterboro is playing the best they've played all season, but I like South Lamar to go ahead and take care of business. Pickens County, Faultville. This is kind of like Collinsville and Aliceville. Uh, you got the Tornado defense versus that high-powered Faultville offense, and I've kind of wavered on this one, going back and forth, but I'm gonna lean just a little bit with the Tornadoes. They're defending North champs. They've been there, done that, and Faultville's kind of in that same boat Collinsville is. It's actually so going with the Tornadoes. I know this is going to blow up a lot of people's brackets. I know people have already penciled in Faultville coming out of the North, and I get it. They're high-powered offense, what have you. But I'm telling you, they hadn't seen this kind of defense all season. So 70 is just not even in the vicinity. I believe this is going to be a game. I mean, if you want, proof, go back to the Hubbard game. They only give up, or rather scored 13 against them. The other one was a defensive touchdown. So they can be stopped. And I believe you will see that with Pickens County. Looking at this last game, Waterloo's had a great year, but it's just hard for me to see them being able to beat Spring Garden at Spring Garden. Coach Howard, they play well at home, and they're hungry. They want to do some damage, and I believe they will knock off the Cougars in that one. So that just pretty much wraps us up. But I want to take a quick look back and kind of give you an idea of who I've got in the hunt, so to speak. 7A, I believe it's going to be, I've already told you it's going to be Auburn and Central on that one. So, but I would still lean more towards a Hoover and Central battle. Looking into 6A, the South is pretty wide open. Um, I would probably go with a Opelika, but or Spanish Fort, one of those two, and don't count out any really of those four. Looking in the North, I just can't look past a Pinson and Clay matchup. Um, Ramsey would definitely be one of mine. Briarwood, maybe a rematch there. Don't count out Pleasant Grove even potentially. Viger, they've had a great year. We'll see what they got this week. Looking in the North here, can't look past Etowah. Etowah's definitely got to be a favorite. Um, Personally, I'm leaning towards Mortimer Jordan. That's just me. Um, that Vol team is very talented. Looking into 4A South, ugh, I I can't see anybody beating UMS Wright, and Delusion will probably be a rematch of last year. Looking in the North, this Hopes Bluff North Jackson's a big game because if North Jackson gets by them, that's really going to help their standing with me. But currently, if right now, I gotta say we're gonna have a rematch of Jacksonville Hopes Bluff. Looking in 3A South, I would say Winfield and Mobile Christian would be my top two, and maybe a dark horse Thomasville. Looking into the North, um, it's got to be one of the big three. I mean, there's no other way around that. And I'd probably lean more towards Sachs. I think they're a really talented team. I think Randolph caught them the first time. I don't think they'll catch them the second time. Looking at 2A North, or excuse me, looking at 2A South. I've talked about Abbeville, Cottage Hill would definitely be in the hunt. Highland Home, throw them in there, and maybe a dark horse Ayrton there. Looking into the north, you can't look past Fife. They've been there, done that. They have that mental advantage on everybody, so you can't, they got to be favorites till somebody knocks them out, basically. But Cobra County is extremely talented, and it could be this week that they do that. Ohatchee, great season. really good running game, can control the clock. Red Bay is dangerous, just by their style. But I think one team that are in Collinsville, you can't overlook them. They got the high-powered offense, what have you. But I'm telling you, I got a dark horse for you, Addison. I know they took a thumping from Colbert County, and I get that and everything. But if they can continue to keep people having to come to them, they're going to be dangerous because they have a big offensive line. They play physical football, and if it gets cold as it should, they will definitely be favored in some of these games. So basically any of those four. 1A South. I don't know. You could throw a dart at a dartboard on this one. St. Luke's is red hot. Linden is really good. They beat Maplesville. Maple's just Maplesville, and then out of those three, they're battling it out. Then you got Lynette, who's just maybe the best of the bunch, but there's so many teams gunning for them. It's just wide open. But I would still lean more towards Lynette and Maplesville on that one. Looking into the north, Mars Hill is red hot. I mean, red hot. But if I had to pick a favorite, I'd probably go South Lamar, and maybe just from a experience factor, maybe Pickens County second, and then Mars Hill just by talent third, and who knows? Like I say, I got Faulkville going out, but who knows? They might be able to, you know, stay on a roll and red hot themselves all the way to Auburn. But now you kind of got my synopsis of things, and that pretty much wraps us up. We'll be back for week 3. Same process. Break it down, give you some thoughts. I'm Artie Decker. This is PSN signing off, saying save me a spot by the fence, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye, and God bless.